We are joined by Ray Landis, distinguished lecturer. We are honored to have you join us today.
My pleasure.
Now, your topic is student development versus the traditional sink or swim. Explain the difference.
Well, engineering education traditionally has brought students in, left them to their own devices to figure out how to go about it, and some succeeded and they were proud. We're proud to credential them, and some failed and we're glad to get rid of them. And the idea of student development is that we can, people can learn to be effective. We can teach students to be effective and more successful.
Now, you say behaviors need to be changed. Are you talking about just the students, or does that include the faculty as well?
Well, both. The students aren't going to change unless the faculty change, and so faculty need to develop a view toward the need for students to develop and put in places structures to do that. Perhaps the most effective structure is a introduction to engineering course that's focused on student development. But the purpose of that course is really to change both student behaviors and student attitudes to line them up with their goal of getting their degree in engineering. We need to work with students to get them to study more, to keep up in their classes, to use their resources, to work together with their peers, to use their professors, to immerse themselves in the academic environment of the institution, and many, many things that students don't do. I speak often to first-year engineering classes, and I survey students, take a poll on these behaviors, and in my anecdotal surveys is that 90% of first-year engineering students are on the wrong side of the top 5 or 6 key behaviors for success in math, science, engineering coursework, and that can be changed.
Now, sink or swim has long prevailed. Are you concerned at all that this is now going to put the focus on underachieving students?
Yeah, I never understand that question. Faculty are the gatekeepers. They set the standard. All they have to do is say, if a student doesn't measure up to our standard, we won't credential them, we won't pass them. So they have the whole control. So I really don't know what the concern is about coddling students, for example. If we coddle students early on and they excel later on, isn't that all right?
Now, you are widely considered the father of minority engineering programs. What's being done to increase the presence of these minorities in the engineering field?
Well, that's kind of a sad story. In 1973, U.S. industry and government set a goal of achieving parity in the number of graduates from African American and Hispanic and American Indian populations within a decade, and started working hard on that. Lots of progress was made, but probably in around 1998, the anti-affirmative action movement prevailed, and most of that activity was dismantled, and as a result, for example, African Americans, which represent perhaps 13% of the population, of the school-age population, represent about 10% of first-year engineering students, but only 4.5% of engineering graduates. And so that's an underrepresentation by a factor of 3 in relation to their representation in the population. If you see that as a problem, why not work on it? If you see that as okay, then don't work on it. And that's what we're basically saying now. It's okay that African Americans are underrepresented in engineering by a factor of 3. And there's leakage all the way through the pipeline among engineering faculty, for example. 2.5% of engineering faculty are African American. So at the faculty level, they're underrepresented by a factor of 5 or 6.
What do you wish for the future of engineering education?
Oh wow, that's so many things. I wish that we would understand that our incoming students are children. They're 17 or 18 years old. They're 3 months out of high school. They're not ready to go. They don't understand the difference in high school system and university engineering study. So I wish we would help students develop and transition from high school. I certainly wish we would put more emphasis on teaching. There's a strong faculty reward system out there that rewards research, and attention to undergraduate education is not what it could be. I ask engineering deans, for example, if you went into a junior or senior level engineering class, what percentage of the time would the professor be droning on using PowerPoint slides or writing on the board with his back to the class, discouraging questions because they had too much to cover? The answer, I guess, is 95% of the time. And so even though we know there are better pedagogies for teaching and active learning pedagogies, they're not being used. So those are the kinds of things. I wish that we would put a stronger emphasis on undergraduate education, that we cared more about our students and developing the talent of students, and that we cared perhaps less about research and publications.
All right, Ray Landis, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.